Good afternoon, everybody. Inevitably by now, by the time this video hits everybody, you've heard of the tragic incident that took place on the Strip at the Route 91 concert. Quick overview of what happened last night. While everybody was at the concert out across from the Mandalay Bay, we had a 64-year-old male shooter on the 32nd floor open fire on the crowd, firing full auto, it appeared, rounds of .223 at everybody in attendance. Metro's response to the scene, as well as the other first responders, was exceptional, to say the least. Once everybody got wind of the active shooter, they started to lock the place down. We had several off-duty officers were on scene as well, trying to help out with everybody that they could. Inevitably, several people were injured. At last count, we had over 500 were injured, and approximately 58 had deceased from the shooting itself. The thing I really highlighted the most from what I saw was the care for the wounded on the scene. There was still an active shooter going on, but you saw people giving CPR and trying to render first aid, pull people out of the area, get them into cars, get them to medical, get them to hospitals without really thinking of themselves, which was really exceptional of the people of Las Vegas. Once the scene was fairly locked down, the shooter still wasn't in custody. Supervisors started forming strike teams. Those strike teams were going up and down the Strip, inside the hotels, responding to multiple active shooter follow-up calls at different hotels throughout the night. Those officers were also caring for the wounded. You had people going in, two-man teams, using the cattle guards as stretchers, loading up civilians, getting them out of the area, getting them to a safe place, and then getting medical treatment and going right back in for more. I can't even tell you how many officers we had totally covered in blood that continued to go out and grab more innocent citizens and get them to medical treatment. It was later determined that our shooter was on the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay. The SWAT team took over. Our exceptional SWAT team, once they pinned down the room, conducted a breach, and upon breaching the unit, they saw that the subject appeared to have shot himself with a small handgun and killed himself inside the room. Once inside the room, they had approximately 10, I believe, .223 rifles were scattered about. Multiple rounds were on the floor. But they didn't just stop there. They continued to search and continued to clear the building to make sure there were no secondary or third or fourth subjects involved. The scene itself, as you can imagine, was extremely horrible to witness, just as much as the hospitals were. I responded, as well as the rest of the executive board, out to UMC Trauma. I walked through Trauma, I walked through the ER, I walked through Valley's ER, and at some point I ended up going to Sunrise as well to see the horrible things that were going on there with the wounded. Really hurt me personally in my heart just to see it, but to see the medical personnel jumping, rising to the occasion and doing everything they could for everybody that was wounded was just something that is another testament to what our city goes through and how they handle a serious situation like this. At the onset, we knew we had two officers were shot. One officer was 2 days into field training. He took a round to the armpit and another round to the chest. He was okay, he was alert. I was talking to him at the hospital, just in pain. Our other officer was over at Valley. He took a ricochet or a grazing round to the neck. As he continued to bleed from the neck, he was still finding himself out there trying to help out as many people as he could. Once he realized what his injury was at the hospital, he has to be patched up, put his uniform back on, and headed back toward the CP where he could try and help. It was also found that at Sunrise, we had another officer as a part of a strike team, ended up breaking his leg. I spoke to him as well at the hospital, and he told me it was a reference to them trying to find a secondary suspect, which eventually they got in custody and determined wasn't involved. At one point in the night, we did learn that one of our brothers was attending the concert and was hit with a round, at least one that I know of. I don't know if there was any more, but later he passed away. Not going to identify the officers because this video is so fresh to the actual incident, but if you knew him, I knew him, and I'm pretty sure he went out probably covering other people or trying to get other people out of the area before he took that fatal round. And before he thought of himself and running out, he did what us cops do, and we stay in there and try to help out the innocent civilians. The national exposure to this has put these types of incidents on the map. I've been reached out to by Mick McHale and John Flynn from our National Association of Police Organizations, willing to do whatever they can to help us out. No time of day matters. They would be here for us at any point. And it's been shared by other police unions across the country. I've received many phone calls, texts, and emails from them with support. We've also had plenty of people in the community reaching out to us wanting to deliver food to you guys, try and get you guys some more help and some more food that can maybe make this 12 on, 12 off AB roster a little bit more bearable. I want to say thanks to the sheriff. The sheriff, I think, did a great job coordinating all our resources, getting everybody where they needed to be, keeping the media briefed, and the rest of our leadership at Metro. I think this was a shining example of what we do when faced with horrific incidents. It was described as the single worst active shooter with casualties in the history of America, and I think we came through it as best as possible. So that's a brief update of what happened. That's a brief update of what I have. If you guys ever need anything, you know I'm here. Our whole team is here, and we'll do anything for you 24/7. So please, in the future, be safe, and if you need us, we're here.